Another exciting episode of Speculative Tolkienism.
Which character from Lord of the Rings does this remind you of from The Pyre of Denethor?
Well, this is the main hall, but I've always knocked through and made it to one big living. Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, that's Baragron.
You got it. Hold on. We got to get the...
Hold it, please. Sorry. You see what I mean? I just get carried away. I'm really must sorry.
You got it right. It was Baragond.
Yeah.
The kinslaying of Baragond. Sorry.
Right.
I just get carried away. It's like Baragond kind of going crazy. So it's like, for there was servants of Denethor with swords and torches in their hands, but alone in the porch of the topmost step stood Baragond, clad in the black and silver of the guard. He held the door against them. Two of them had already fallen to his sword, staining the hollows with their blood, and the others cursed.
Sorry.
Oh, right. So I just get carried away. Yeah.
My own particular idiom, sir.
Staining the hollows with their blood. And the others cursed him, calling him outlaw and traitor to his master.
Oh, dang.
Ooh, yeah. And he's like, sorry. See what I mean? I just get
Sorry.
My idiom.
He killed my auntie.
He's killed the best man.
He kicked the bride in the chest. Anyway, but this of course brings up all kinds of interesting notions of loyalty, like the guards calling him outlaw and traitor to his master, and then you wonder, like, well, who's the real master? I don't know. Like, it seems like Baragond, the thing to take away is that Baragond is not like necessary, like he's kind of loyal to a higher power than just mere like subservience to his immediate master Denethor.
Yeah.
And that his idea of loyalty is to the idea of justice itself, or something like, oh well, here's an unjust Faramir's being threatened unjustly, and so even though he works for Denethor, Baragond's going to be like, I gotta stop this.
Well, it seems like Baragond is like he's like more of like a common folky kind of dude, like they love Faramir. They probably love Boromir too, and then Denethor seems like a little bit lofty, where the servants of Denethor are probably like, oh, tut, like just.
Right. Like one key to like Denethor's perspective, I think, is this weird moment where he talks about being replaced by Aragorn. I will not step down to be the dotard chamberlain of an upstart, even were his claim, Aragorn's claim, proved to me. Still he comes but of the line of Isildur. I will not bow to such a one, last of a ragged house, long bereft of lordship and dignity. So it's like, even though he comes from Isildur's line, it's like, according to Denethor, this line has long since kind of fallen away and not been as dignified.
Right.
And been like, this just a bunch of upstart ragtag rangers. Yeah
because he said, like, the word in there that's kind of insulting, or like meant as an insult, like, still he comes but of the line of Isildur, like, he, you know what I'm saying, like, he's not Isildur, he's not, it's kind of
right.
It's kind of like, I'm related to Abraham Lincoln, but you're not Lincoln. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Needless to say, it's probably a good thing that Denethor offed himself, because that would be a whole other book of him and Aragorn kind of having it out.
That actually could have been like, if it didn't work out this way, like maybe the sequel instead of the.
It's like a melodrama set in Middle Earth.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Game of Thrones. This is kind of like a chapter. Like how we say there's chapters where nothing, like, they don't go anywhere or whatever.
Yeah, this is not that chapter.
this is not that chapter, but it doesn't go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's all in that one, like the one room.
Yeah, it's very self-contained, but yeah, it's just but with the Palantir, it like kind of looks out onto the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, the Palantir, I think, is kind of like the focal point of the chapter because it explains Denethor's mental state.
Yeah, well, it explains like yeah, exactly.
Plus, it telegraphs. It's an odd, I think, placement for Tolkien to put this chapter after the Battle of Pelennor Fields, because, I mean, actually, in a way, it's kind of genius because through that looking glass of the Palantir, Denethor sees the ships with the black sails coming up the coast of Anduin.
Yeah, if you remember from the Rankin Bass cartoon of Return of the King, Denethor explains to Gandalf why they have no hope.
I have looked inside my Palantir. I have seen more than thou knowest, grey fool. Thy hope is but ignorance.
Right. Well, that's in the book. It's actually in the
exactly. And you know where it's not?
In Peter Jackson. In the book, Denethor sees the black sailed ships and despairs because he thinks they're from the he thinks it's the Corsairs, right?
Yeah.
And he thinks, oh, all is lost. But we, having read the previous chapter, Battle of Pelennor Fields, know that it's not the Corsairs and it's Aragorn, right?
Right.
So why do you think Tolkien decided to give the audience, us, the insight or the foresight or the knowledge of this fact that these ships were actually full of good guys, and keeping Denethor in the dark for an extra chapter, even with this Palantir, which is supposed to give him like foresight or foreknowledge or added insight?
Yeah, it would make a lot more good. It would make a lot more sense if Gandalf went to save Faramir first, and then because then they're like, oh, like you would see the black, the ships coming up Anduin and stuff like that, and then you're like, oh my gosh, these guys are screwed. The only thing I can think of is that he just wrote the Battle of Pelennor Fields first.
He just wrote it in a mad frenzy, like,
and he's like,
screw the consequences.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never thought about it that way, because like you just kind of take it for granted that everybody knows that, that's Aragorn coming up, in the Corsair ship. Because
I thought that Gandalf would have been aware by this point that those ships were, because wasn't he, pardon my ignorance, but Gandalf wasn't on the fields of the Pelennor Fields during this whole like Theoden, during the action of the last chapter? The action of the last chapter, it runs congruently with the Pyre of Denethor. With the Pyre of Denethor. Yeah. Right. But Tolkien describes the action of the Battle of Pelennor Fields before he describes the Pyre of Denethor in the book. Right. Yeah, but it's happening at the same time. Happening basically simultaneously. Yeah. So what I think why Tolkien did this, I'm just coming up with this, that he wanted us, the reader, to see in this chapter, Pyre of Denethor, Tolkien wanted us, the reader, to know already that everything was going to be okay, at least as far as the Corsair ships were concerned. Right. And that we as readers know that Denethor is deluded, and that the Palantir is feeding him like misinformation or half truths, right?
Right.
Because it says a lot more about the Palantir and Sauron's like kind of control over what kind of information Denethor receives, right? And it shows that, you know, it basically gives it explains how we the readers have more hope right now than Denethor. And I
Right.
think, I don't know, it's like Tolkien's moral justification for how you shouldn't despair, and that, you know, you should cling more to hope than, I don't know. That's why I think Tolkien did that and put the chapters in that particular order.
Right.
Because if the readers didn't know, if the readers didn't know that the Corsair ships were the good guys until after, it would have had a different effect. I mean, it would have been like, okay, well, Denethor, the reader would have despaired with Denethor, like, oh shoot, you're right, all is lost. And then in the next chapter, oh, not really. Maybe Denethor wasn't.
Don't you think that I mean, now looking at it, I mean, don't you think that that would have been a more of an emotional payoff? If
I mean, now that I restate it, maybe it's kind of, it could go either way, but yeah, maybe it should have been the other way. There must have been a reason for that, and there must have been some other kinds of payoffs that were missing. But if our many followers, people in the chat, maybe chime in, and if you have an explanation for why these chapters went Pelennor first, Denethor second, let us know, because it's
right.
I don't know. I can't quite tell. I can't quite figure it out.
Again, artistic choice for sure, but I like. Okay, if I were king of the forest, right? If I were king of the forest? What I probably would have done is I probably would have like ended the chapter. Like I wouldn't have ended I would have put it in that order, right? The Battle of Pelennor Fields, but I would have cut the chapter when Éomer rode off in despair after, like, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay.
After he assumed that Éowyn was dead.
Okay.
And then
you would have ended Pelennor Fields at that moment?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it would, because the ships hadn't arrived yet. You still have kind of the same payoff, right?
So you wanted to defer or delay the moment of realization that everything was okay.
Right. And then jumped over to the Pyre of Denethor.
Oh.
Right. Like I would have ended the chapter right there.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Jumped to the Pyre of
Yeah.
So
no, that could have worked. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it worked the way it's written, but I'm just saying. Look,
I mean, the only thing I could say to justify the way it's written was that there was a kind of cool moment in the Pyre of Denethor where Denethor's saying, "We're screwed. Black sailed ships. I saw them in my little magic crystal ball."
Right.
And I, as a reader, was like, "You fool! Those aren't Corsair ships. Those are, you know." So that wouldn't have occurred otherwise. So, you know.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, like, I would have continued the chapter, but I would have like delayed it a little bit. I mean, it wouldn't, like, the chapter would have been the same end result. There probably would have been like another chapter.
Right. I mean, yeah, break the chapters up how you break them up. That sounds good. But all I'm saying is that it was kind of cool knowing more than Denethor at that moment, that, you know, we didn't know the truth until after Denethor already was dead. Or no, we knew the truth already before Denethor like killed himself. We knew that he was wrong.
Oh, and actually before Gandalf knew anything too.
Yeah, see, that's the misreading on my part, because I assumed I assumed Gandalf already knew that the ships were full of Aragorn and his men, because I was wondering like why when Denethor was like, black sailed ships coming up the coast, I was wondering
Yeah.
why Gandalf like didn't raise his hand. It was like, actually, those are actually not the bad guys, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, had Gandalf been on the Pelennor Fields, he'd been in the battle. I mean, it might not have ended with the Lord of the Nazgul dying. You know what I'm talking about? Like there would have Gandalf, like got called up to save Faramir, and it was like a choice between do I go to battle or do I save the Steward of Gondor?
Yeah.
But the battle might have gone way differently had Gandalf actually been out there.
But you're saying the Lord of the Nazgul wouldn't have died if Gandalf was there?
Oh no, who knows? Well, because Gandalf probably would have been. Eowyn
in
wouldn't
that
have had
fight.
in that fight. Eowyn would, for sure. I don't think would have had her moment of victory.
Yeah, Eowyn wouldn't have had her moment of She-Ra victory.
Right. Like because Gandalf probably would have been challenging the Lord of the Nazgul, and
He
Durnhelm.
He would have stolen her glory.
Yeah, and Durnhelm might have just been like, "Hey, here's an orc. I'm going to go kill." You know what I'm saying?
Well, wouldn't that have been interesting? Because what if like Gandalf? Well, we could speculate all day long about like the whole fact
the
that
name.
yeah, it was Eowyn who was kind of forced because Gandalf wasn't there, forced to confront the Witch King, and that was actually fortuitous because she was not a man.
Right.
And then whereas Gandalf would have been like, wah, wah, he would have failed because he's a dude.
But Gandalf's not a man either. Gandalf, I think.
Well, let's get technical. Yeah, I guess not. Maybe Gandalf could have done it.
Yeah. But I mean, speaking of Gandalf, I mean, just to kind of touch on this. So the thing that you really do see in this chapter, all the is like Gandalf being kind of a badass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like basically lifting up Faramir, just like it's nothing, and just getting him
like he's luggage.
Yeah, pretty much. Just like, let's get him. And kind of casting using like a disarm spell on Denethor. So to speak.
Yeah. Like when he burst into the room, what was it? What did it say? Hold on.
The men fell back from him and covered their eyes, for his coming was like the incoming of white light into a dark place, and he came with great anger. He lifted his hand, and in the very stroke, next page, the sword of Denethor flew up and left his grasp and fell behind him in the shadows of the house. So basically, it's like kind of a disarm spell.
Yeah. I don't know. So like, I think Denethor is. I mean, it brings us to the question: is he evil, or is he just corrupted, or is he just despairing? I mean, what do you think his ultimate deal is?
I think that what was it said? It was said that or it was written that Gandalf said that Denethor was strong enough to kind of wrestle with Sauron, or whatever. But he still Sauron won. I think he broke him.
Yeah. Well, definitely in the sense that he's only showing him half truths, like that idea that the Palantir is kind of like our idea of like a media organization or something like peddles half truths, and only gives you half the story in order to propagandize you to think a certain way. And I think long ago Denethor fell under like Sauronistic propaganda. Even though Denethor thought, I'm strong, I have a strong will, I will fight against this is my foe, we're gonna do battle. So it's very different. It runs parallel to Saruman, who Saruman fell under the spell of Sauron through the Palantir. Denethor was strong enough to resist Sauron, like will wise, but still was tainted. Like his hope was destroyed, and he despaired just because the Palantir only showed him part of the story, I guess.
Yeah, I think there was a line that Denethor said, is like pride and despair. Pride and despair.
Oh, is that in this scene?
Yeah, there it is. Pride and despair, he cried. Didst thou think the eyes of the White Tower were blind?
Pride and despair. Pride and despair. Didst thou think the eyes of the White Tower were blind?
Which they kind of are, yeah. Denethor's like, so, thou hast already stolen half my son's love. Now thou stealest the hearts of my knights also, so that they rob me wholly of my son at the last. But in this at least thou shalt not defy my will to rule my own end. So he's basically saying this is directed to Gandalf.
Yeah.
He's like, he's stolen Faramir's love. Gandalf is dividing Denethor's servants' loyalty, and therefore the servants are keeping Denethor from killing Faramir.
Right.
And Denethor sees this as like, oh, you, Gandalf, you're taking the loyalty of my servants in order to take my son fully from me, who had already divided his loyalty between me and you. Like, it's just a really interesting moment. And then he's like, well, you can defy my will in this and take my guards, take my son, but you can't defy me in my ability to take my own, to rule my own end, which means to take my own life.
Yes.
So he's like, you're not going to stop me from taking my own life, even though you've stopped me from killing my son. It's just a really a heavy moment that just talks about like these layers of divided loyalties and how he's upset that Gandalf took his son from him in his own eyes, like his loyalty becoming a wizard's pupil.
Right. Denethor started as one waking from a trance, and the flame died in his eyes, and he wept, and he said, "Do not take my son from me. He calls for me." Like that's when, like right at the bottom.
Yeah.
You know. And that's where Gandalf could have probably that's like the precipice right there. You know, that could have saved Denethor and brought him back, but he just went he went headlong into the abyss, as it were.
But then we know how Denethor died in the Peter Jackson film, which is very cinematic. See, no Baragond and no conversation really about, they don't get into the deep details. It's very cinematic though.
So. But in the movie, like in this movie, he doesn't, like the Palantir is missing, and there's no explanation of why Denethor is going crazy other than
right. Yeah, and he doesn't try to burn. I mean, he doesn't actually light Faramir on fire.
No,
in the book.
No. You son of a bitch! Campfire.
Yeah.
Roll them off, Pippin.
The hot dog's done.
Had to give him something to do.
Oh yeah, he's little.
Yeah. You will not take my son from me.
Oh my gosh. See, now this is starting to get like, if we look at this closely, it's like here Denethor was mainly concerned with killing Faramir here, and not so much concerned with killing himself. Like he started himself on fire by accident here, like not as a willful act. Interesting.
Well, he
'cause,
was
like,
still getting ready to off himself for sure.
yeah.
You know, hey, real quick,
Oh.
you know how they did these scenes right here?
Yeah.
They used mirrors, so like it's actually a mirror, like or glass. So like that's a reflection of the
Oh.
like the flames were. I can't remember exactly how they did it, but like the flames were over.
That's how they get that kind of flame, like flamey effect
in front of them. Yeah, there's something where they used a kind of a glass in front of them, and like they reflected the fire, whatever. It's,
yeah.
you know,
Cool.
yeah.
Looks like they squirted him with like from a water bottle
with a KY.
a little bit. He's got KY on his face.
Yeah.
But this is actually a pretty cool moment where he's like, "Hey, I'm not dead.
I'm not dead."
He's like, oh. See, that's the thing. Like, it was different because the Shadowfax kicked Denethor into the fire, and it was an accident.
Yeah,
so maybe he was about to kill himself, but like this moment where he sees Faramir still alive, and he has this moment of like, oh, maybe everything's gonna be okay. Maybe I was wrong to kill. Like there was that hope in Faramir's eyes, and you get the sense like, oh, Denethor's gonna turn. He's gonna see that the error of his ways. He's gonna repent and do better. But it's too late because he's on fire, not because in the end he put himself under the fire, but because he got knocked in the fire on accident. But it was all done because of a struggle that he himself initiated because he was trying to kill Faramir. So it's it just reads very differently than Tolkien, but it's still still entertaining.
Effective.
Yeah, good.
Different. And dramatic.
The most dramatic and entertaining is this bit here, where he turns himself into a meteor of sorts. Reminds me of Arendelle.
Yes.
He turns into a star.
Except he's going down.
Except he's going down instead of up.
Right.
And that's the other interesting. That's the other really, on Peter. Good for Peter Jackson. This interesting moment, this juxtaposition where you have all this like terror and fury, and Denethor's on fire, and then when he jumps into the battle, he's like insignificant.
Yeah,
I mean, he's like just another burning person on the battlefield, and he's like just sucked up into the larger scene. And
somebody's going to come across the remains of Denethor and not know that it was actually Denethor.
Yes.
Like, look, it's a burning hulk of a husk of a human being.